The funeral home smelled like lilies and lies. I stood at the back of the room, watching strangers shake hands and murmur condolences about a man they barely knew. My father. Stuart Snyder. The man I'd spent the last 3 years watching die, one labored breath at a time. My name is Anna, and I'm the daughter who stayed. Anna, honey, you look exhausted. Mrs. Peterson from next door squeezed my arm. You did everything you could. I nodded, forcing a smile. Everything. My marketing career, my social life, my savings account, all sacrificed at the altar of duty, while my sister Lindsay posted Instagram stories from wine tastings in Napa. The funeral director approached with that practiced sympathy they perfect in mortician school. We're ready to begin whenever your family is complete. We're still waiting for... The double doors burst open like a scene from a soap opera. Lindsay swept in wearing a black designer dress that probably cost more than I'd spent on groceries in 6 months. Her husband Chandler trailed behind, checking his phone. I'm so sorry I'm late, Lindsay announced to the room, her voice carrying that theatrical quality she'd perfected since high school drama club. Traffic was absolutely insane. Traffic, from her house 20 minutes away, to her own father's funeral. She rushed to the casket, collapsing dramatically against it. Daddy, I'm here now. I'm so sorry. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Tears streamed down her perfectly contoured cheeks as she clutched the mahogany edge. Several people reached for tissues. I wanted to vomit. Anna. She turned to me, arms outstretched. Oh, Anna. We only have each other now. The hug felt like being embraced by a python. She whispered in my ear, just loud enough for me to hear. At least you made yourself useful these past few years. I pulled back, studying her face. Same green eyes as mine, same stubborn chin. But where I saw exhaustion and grief in the mirror, Lindsay radiated something else entirely. Anticipation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please take your seats. The funeral director gestured toward the rows of chairs. I found myself in the front row next to Beatrice, Dad's lawyer. She'd been handling his affairs for over 20 years, and her presence was the only thing keeping me grounded. How are you holding up, dear? Beatrice asked quietly. I keep expecting him to wake up and ask for his afternoon pills, I whispered back. She patted my hand. He was very proud of you, Anna. Very proud. And very thorough in his planning. Something in her tone made me look at her more closely, but the service was starting. The pastor spoke about Dad's business acumen, his community involvement, his dedication to family. All true, but sanitized. He didn't mention the nights I'd held Dad's hand through panic attacks, or the way he'd apologize for being a burden while I assured him he wasn't. He didn't mention how Dad would light up when I read him the business section, or how he'd made me promise to be smart about everything, Anna. Smarter than they expect. Lindsay sobbed loudly during the eulogy. Chandler kept glancing at his watch. After the service, people filed past offering condolences. Your father was a good man. He's in a better place now. You girls were so lucky to have him. Lucky. Right. Anna, we need to talk about arrangements, Lindsay said, appearing at my elbow as the crowd thinned. The house, Dad's things. I know this is hard, but we should probably start sorting through everything soon. Soon? I stared at her. Lindsay, we just buried him 2 hours ago. I know, but practically speaking, we can't just leave everything sitting there forever. And honestly, you've been living there so long, you're probably ready for your own space again, right? Chandler materialized beside her. Ladies, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we should probably head out soon. I have a conference call with Tokyo in an hour. A conference call. At his father-in-law's funeral. Of course, Lindsay said, squeezing my arm. Anna, we'll talk tomorrow, okay? About next steps. They left in a cloud of expensive perfume and barely concealed impatience. "Vultures," Beatrice muttered, watching them go. "What?" "Nothing, dear. Just be ready for surprises. Your father was a very thorough man." That evening, I sat alone in Dad's study, surrounded by 3 years' worth of medical equipment that would need to be returned. The oxygen concentrator hummed in the corner. I'd forgotten to turn it off. I opened his desk drawer, looking for the folder with the medical supply company's contact information. Instead, my fingers found something else entirely. An envelope. Heavy paper, expensive. My name written across the front in Dad's careful handwriting. But this wasn't his will. I'd seen that already. This was something else. Something he'd hidden in his desk, waiting for me to find it. I tore it open with shaking hands. Inside was a single key and a note. "Anna. The safe. Behind the painting of the lighthouse. You'll understand everything soon. Trust Beatrice. Love. Dad." The lighthouse painting had hung in Dad's study for as long as I could remember. I'd dusted around it 1,000 times during his illness, never knowing it hid anything. The safe was small, built into the wall. The key turned easily, like Dad had been using it recently. Inside were documents, a flash drive, and another envelope marked, "For Anna's eyes only." My hands shook as I pulled everything out. The top document made my breath catch. It was titled, "Payment Agreement. Anna Snyder, Caregiver Compensation." "Anna?" Beatrice's voice came from the front door. "I saw the lights on. Are you all right?" "In here," I called, my voice cracking. She appeared in the doorway, took one look at the papers scattered across Dad's desk and smiled. "Ah, you found it. Beatrice, what is this? Payment agreement? I never signed anything like this. Your father was very specific about timing. He wanted you to discover this after the funeral, after you'd had time to process." She sat down across from me. "Anna, your father documented every sacrifice you made, every promotion you turned down, every social event you missed, every dollar you spent on his care." I stared at the papers. Line items dating back 3 years. Foregone salary, marketing manager position, $75,000 annually. Personal expenses related to patient care, $12,147. Opportunity cost, MBA program deferral. He calculated it all, down to the penny, and he paid you, Anna. Not in cash, he knew you'd refuse that. He paid you in property transfers, small amounts spread over time so no one would notice. My phone buzzed. Lindsay. "Anna, emergency family meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Beatrice's office. Will reading time." The emoji made my stomach turn. "She seems excited," Beatrice observed dryly. "She thinks she's getting the house." "She is getting the house." I looked up sharply. "What?" "Your father's will leaves the family home to Lindsay. He was very clear about that." "But then what?" "Read the rest of the documents, Anna. All of them." The next morning, Lindsay arrived at Beatrice's office in full mourning regalia. Black Chanel suit, pearl earrings, the works. She hugged me like we were best friends. "I barely slept last night," she gushed. "I kept thinking about Daddy and how much he loved us both." Chandler nodded along, but his attention was clearly elsewhere. He kept checking his phone and muttering about quarterly projections. "Shall we begin?" Beatrice asked, settling behind her desk with a thick folder. The will reading was exactly what I expected. Dad's investments, split evenly between Lindsay and me. His personal effects, mostly to me since I'd been living with them anyway. And then the big moment. The family residence at 1247 Maple Street, including all furnishings and fixtures, I leave to my daughter Lindsay Davidson. Lindsay gasped, pressing her hands to her chest. "Oh my God. Anna, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he would... I thought maybe we'd share it or..." Her performance was flawless, the concerned sister, overwhelmed by unexpected inheritance. "It's fine," I said quietly. "Really? Because I feel terrible. You lived there for so long, and now—" "It's fine, Lindsay." Beatrice continued reading, but I could see her fighting a smile. When she finished, Lindsay was practically glowing. "I can't believe it," Lindsay whispered to Chandler. "The house is worth at least $800,000. She thought she was whispering. She wasn't. "Anna," she turned to me with fake concern. "What will you do now? I mean, you'll need to find somewhere to live, and with your job situation." "My job situation?" "Well, you haven't worked in 3 years. It might be hard to get back into marketing. The field changes so fast." She tilted her head sympathetically. "Maybe you could rent a small apartment. I could help with the deposit if you need it." Chandler cleared his throat. "Actually, Lindsay, we should discuss timeline. I mean, Anna's been living there, but now that it's officially yours—" "Oh, of course." Lindsay's eyes lit up. "Anna, you'll need time to pack and everything. How about 2 weeks? Is that enough time?" 2 weeks. To find a place, pack up 3 years of my life, and disappear. "That's very generous," I said. "I'm trying to be fair. Family first, right?" Beatrice stood up. "Well, that concludes the will reading. Anna, could you stay for a moment? There are some additional documents your father wanted me to review with you." Lindsay and Chandler exchanged glances. "Additional documents?" Lindsay asked. "Nothing that concerns the will," Beatrice said smoothly. "Just some personal papers." After they left, Beatrice locked the door and returned to her desk. "How do you feel?" "Like I just got evicted by my own sister." "Anna, do you remember what your father always said about business? Never show your hand until you're ready to play it." "Exactly." She pulled out a new folder, much thicker than the will. "Your father transferred ownership of Snyder Properties to you over the past 3 years, small percentages at a time, documented as payment for caregiving services." I stared at her. "Snyder Properties?" "The commercial real estate portfolio. 12 buildings downtown, including the office complex where Chandler's company leases space." She slid a document across the desk. "Congratulations, Anna. You're now the majority owner of a property portfolio worth approximately $4.2 million. The room spun. "That's impossible. Your father was very thorough. Every transfer was legal, properly documented, and filed with the county. You've been receiving payments for 3 years. You just didn't know it." My phone buzzed. A text from Lindsay. "Talk to Chandler. 2 weeks is actually too long. Can you be out by Friday? We want to start renovations ASAP. Thanks for understanding." I showed the text to Beatrice. "Well," she said, "I suppose it's time to let your sister know that her husband's office lease is up for review." Friday morning came faster than I expected. I stood in Dad's bedroom, my bedroom for the past 3 years, surrounded by boxes and the ghosts of sleepless nights. "This is insane," Alea said, taping up another box. "She's literally kicking you out of your own home." My best friend since college had driven over at 6 a.m. with coffee and packing supplies. She'd been furious when I told her about the eviction. "It's not my home anymore," I said, folding Dad's favorite sweater. "Legally, it's hers." "Legally, she's a bitch." A car door slammed outside. Through the window, I watched Lindsay stride up the walkway in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater. She had a clipboard. "She brought a clipboard," Alea muttered, "to evict her own sister." The front door opened without a knock. "Anna, how's the packing going?" "We're almost done," I called back. Lindsay appeared in the doorway, surveying the boxes with satisfaction. "This is so exciting. Chandler and I have so many plans for this place. We're thinking of knocking out the wall between the kitchen and dining room, maybe adding a wine cellar." "A wine cellar," I repeated. "I know, right? Dad would have loved it." He always appreciated good wine. She checked something off on her clipboard. Oh, I brought you something. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000. What's this for? Moving expenses. I know this transition is hard, and I want to help however I can. Her smile was radiant. We're family, Anna. I'll always take care of you. Alea made a choking sound. That's very thoughtful, I said, pocketing the check. Where are you going to live? Did you find a place? I'm staying with Alea for now. Perfect. That'll give you time to figure things out. Maybe take a little vacation, you know? You've been so stressed these past few years. My phone rang. Beatrice. Anna, are you free for lunch today? There's someone I'd like you to meet. Actually, I'm in the middle of... It's about the properties. It's important. I looked at Lindsay, who was now examining the curtains with a critical eye. I'll be there. Properties? Lindsay asked when I hung up. What properties? Just some paperwork Dad left behind. Nothing important. 2 hours later, I sat across from Beatrice and a man in his 40s with kind eyes and calloused hands. Anna, this is Christian. He's been managing your father's commercial properties for the past 8 years. Christian shook my hand. I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a good man, tough, but fair. Thank you. Christian has been keeping me updated on the portfolio, Beatrice said. Anna, you need to understand what you've inherited. Christian pulled out a tablet, swiping through photos. 12 buildings, all downtown. Office spaces, retail, some residential units on the upper floors. Your father was very hands-on, knew every tenant personally. The photos showed gleaming lobbies, modern office spaces, bustling storefronts. This was Dad's empire, and I'd never even known it existed. The crown jewel is the Meridian complex, Christian continued. 15 floors, fully leased. Your brother-in-law's company, Davidson Tech, occupies the entire 7th floor. Chandler's company? Signed a 5-year lease 2 years ago, pays $28,000 a month. I nearly choked on my coffee. $28,000? It's prime real estate. But here's the thing. Their lease has a clause that allows for early termination with 60 days' notice if the property changes ownership. Beatrice smiled. Which it has. My phone buzzed with a notification. Instagram. Lindsay had posted a photo of herself in Dad's kitchen, arms spread wide, with the caption, New beginnings in my childhood home. Can't wait to make new memories here. Blessed, Shaka family. First, new chapter. The comments were already pouring in. So beautiful. You deserve this. Your dad would be so proud. Anna? Christian was watching me. Are you all right? I showed them the post. Beatrice's jaw tightened. Well, she said, I think it's time to send some official correspondence. An hour later, I was back at Alea's apartment, sitting on her couch with my laptop. The eviction notice from Davidson Tech was drafted and ready to send. You're really going to do this? Alea asked, reading over my shoulder. She gave me 2 days to pack up my life. Chandler couldn't even put his phone away at Dad's funeral. But this could destroy his business. That's not my problem. My phone rang. Chandler. Anna. Hey. Listen. I know today was probably hard for you, moving out and everything. I just wanted to say, if you need any help getting back on your feet, job-wise, I might know some people. That's very kind of you. We're family now, right? We should look out for each other. He paused. Actually, speaking of business, I got a weird email from some property management company about our lease being under review. Do you know anything about that? I looked at the laptop screen, cursor hovering over the send button. I have no idea what that could be about. Probably just routine paperwork. These management companies are always sending random notices. He laughed. Anyway, I should let you get settled. Take care of yourself, Anna. I hung up and clicked send. The email went out to Davidson Tech's main office, copied to their legal department and accounting. Subject line: Urgent, lease termination notice, Meridian Complex, floor 7. Alea whistled. 60 days notice? 60 days. My phone buzzed again. Another Instagram notification. Lindsay had posted a video tour of her house, already talking about renovation plans. Time to see how blessed she really feels, I muttered, and started drafting the next email. The call came at 7 a.m. on Monday. "Anna, what the hell is going on?" Lindsay's voice was shrill through the phone. "Chandler got some insane notice about his lease being terminated. This has to be a mistake." I was sitting in Alea's kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the morning news. "What kind of notice?" "Don't play dumb with me. His company got an eviction notice from Snyder Properties. That's Dad's company, Anna. You have to know something about this." "I'm not sure how I would know anything about Dad's business dealings." "Because you lived with him for 3 years. You must have seen paperwork, heard phone calls, something." Through the phone, I could hear Chandler in the background. "Tell her it's urgent, Lindsay. We need to find out who's running things now." "Anna, please. Chandler's freaking out. This could ruin his business. Can you just ask around? Maybe call that lawyer, Beatrice? I'll see what I can find out." "Thank you. I knew you'd help us. We're family." I hung up and immediately called Beatrice. "Good morning, Anna. I assume you've heard from your sister?" "She's panicking." "Good. Are you ready to see your empire?" An hour later, Christian met me at the Meridian Complex. The building was impressive, glass and steel reaching toward the sky, with Snyder Properties etched discreetly near the entrance. "Your father bought this building in 1998, Christian explained as we rode the elevator to the top floor. "Paid $2 million for it. It's worth $12 million now." The executive office on the 15th floor took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire downtown area. Dad's desk sat in the center, still covered with his papers. "He came here every week until he got too sick," Christian said. "Always said this building was his legacy." I walked to the window, looking down at the city. Somewhere down there, Chandler was probably having a meltdown in his soon-to-be former office. "Christian, tell me about Davidson Tech's lease. They're good tenants, pay on time. But the lease was a favor to your father. Below market rate because Chandler was family." "How much below market?" "They're paying $28,000. Market rate for that space would be $45,000. So Dad had been subsidizing Chandler's business to the tune of $200,000 a year. And Lindsay had the nerve to kick me out with 2 days' notice. "There's something else," Christian said, pulling out a folder. "Your father left specific instructions about each tenant. Most of them get renewed automatically. But Davidson Tech..." He showed me a handwritten note in Dad's careful script. "Review annually. If Anna is not treated with respect and care by family, terminate immediately." I stared at the note. He knew. "Your father was a smart man. He saw how they treated you." My phone buzzed. A text from Lindsay. "Anna, can you meet us for lunch? Chandler wants to talk to you about the lease thing. Maybe you can help us figure out who to contact?" "Tell them I'll meet them at Romano's at noon," I told Christian. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Romano's was crowded, but I spotted them immediately. Lindsay was gesticulating wildly while Chandler stared at his phone with a grim expression. "Anna!" Lindsay jumped up, hugging me tightly. "Thank God you're here. This whole thing is insane." I sat down across from them. Chandler looked like he hadn't slept. "Anna, I need to ask you directly," he said. "Do you know who's running Snyder Properties now? Because whoever it is, they're making a huge mistake." "What makes you think it's a mistake? I've been a good tenant for 2 years. Never missed a payment, never caused problems. And suddenly I get this termination notice with no explanation. Maybe they want to raise the rent. They're not offering to renegotiate, they want us out. Period. He rubbed his forehead. I've got 30 employees, Anna. If I can't find new office space in 60 days, I'll have to lay people off. Lindsay reached across the table, grabbing my hand. Anna, you have to help us. I know we haven't always been close, but we're sisters. Family helps family. Like when you gave me 2 days to move out? That's different. That was about the house, and this is about business. Exactly. Chandler leaned forward. This is someone's livelihood we're talking about. My employees have families, mortgages. This isn't just about me. I looked at them both. Lindsay with her pleading eyes and designer handbag, Chandler with his expensive watch and genuine panic. I'll make some calls, I said finally. Really? Lindsay's face lit up. Oh, Anna. Thank you. I knew you'd come through for us. Don't thank me yet. I said I'd make calls, not that I could fix anything. After lunch, I drove back to the Meridian complex. Christian was waiting in the lobby with a stack of papers. How did it go? They have no idea. Are you having second thoughts? I looked around the lobby, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the quiet hum of successful business. Dad had built this. He'd trusted me with it. Christian, I want you to draft a formal letter to Davidson Tech. Make it clear that the lease termination stands. No negotiations, no extensions. Are you sure? I'm sure, and I want to schedule meetings with all the other tenants. It's time I introduce myself as the new owner. He nodded, making notes. There's one more thing. I found this in your father's desk. He handed me an envelope marked "For Lindsay" in Dad's handwriting. He left her a letter too? Apparently. It was with his personal papers, not the business files. I turned the envelope over in my hands. It was sealed, never opened. She never got this? Your father gave specific instructions. It was only to be delivered if she showed genuine remorse for how she treated you. I stared at the letter, wondering what Dad had written to his younger daughter, what final words he'd wanted to share. My phone rang. Lindsay again. Anna, did you make those calls yet? Chandler's been pacing around the house all afternoon. He's driving me crazy. I'm still working on it. Well, work faster. This is urgent. She hung up without saying goodbye. I looked at Christian. Schedule those tenant meetings for tomorrow and draft a press release announcing the change in ownership. What should it say? That Snyder Properties is under new management, and we're committed to working with tenants who share our values of respect, integrity, and family loyalty. And Davidson Tech? I held up Lindsay's letter, then dropped it in the trash can beside Dad's desk. Davidson Tech can start packing. I stood outside the house, Lindsay's house now, holding Dad's letter. 3 days had passed since I'd thrown it in the trash, but Christian had fished it out. Your father wanted her to have this, he'd said. Maybe it'll help her understand. Maybe I was an idiot for hoping. I rang the doorbell instead of using my old key. Lindsay answered wearing paint-splattered clothes and a bright smile. Anna! Perfect timing. Come see what we're doing with the kitchen. The space I'd cooked Dad's meals in for 3 years was unrecognizable. Cabinets torn out, walls knocked down, dust everywhere. Isn't it amazing? Lindsay gestured around the destruction. Open concept, just like I always dreamed. Chandler says it'll add at least $50,000 to the value. Where is Chandler? Upstairs, making calls. He's been on the phone all morning trying to find new office space. Her face fell. Anna, did you find out anything about that lease situation? I pulled out the envelope. Actually, I found something else. Dad left you a letter. Her eyes widened. A letter? But the will reading, this was separate, personal. She took it with shaking hands, staring at her name in Dad's handwriting. When did he write this? I don't know. But Lindsay, before you read it, there's something I need to tell you. What? I'm the new owner of Snyder Properties. The letter fluttered to the floor. What did you say? Dad transferred ownership to me over the past 3 years, as payment for taking care of him. That's impossible. It's all documented, legal transfers properly filed. I own the buildings, including the one where Chandler's company leases space. Her face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, then something darker. You're lying. I'm not. You forged those documents. You and that lawyer, you're trying to steal Dad's business. Lindsay. No! She picked up the letter, waving it at me. This is fake too, isn't it? You wrote this, trying to make me feel guilty so I'll give you money. Footsteps thundered down the stairs. Chandler appeared, phone still pressed to his ear. I'll call you back, he said, hanging up. Anna? Thank God you're here. I just talked to 3 different property management companies, and nobody knows anything about Snyder Properties. It's like the company doesn't exist. It exists, I said quietly. Then who's running it? Because I need to talk to them immediately. I found office space across town, but the lease is twice what I'm paying now. My business can't survive that kind of increase. Lindsay was staring at me with growing horror. Tell him, Anna. Tell him what you just told me. Tell me what? I looked at Chandler. This man who'd checked his phone at his father-in-law's funeral, who'd pressured his wife to evict me with 2 days' notice, who'd been getting a sweetheart deal on his lease for 2 years without ever acknowledging it. I own Snyder Properties, he laughed. Very funny. Seriously, Anna, this isn't the time for jokes. I'm not joking. The laughter died. That's impossible. You don't have that kind of money. Dad paid me for taking care of him. In property transfers. Property transfers? Chandler's voice rose. Anna, do you understand what you're saying? That portfolio is worth millions. 4.2 million, to be exact. Lindsay sank into a chair, still clutching the unopened letter. This can't be happening. It is happening. And Chandler, your lease termination stands. 60 days, no extensions, no negotiations. You can't do this to me. I can do whatever I want, it's my property. But why? I never did anything to you. You want a list? You couldn't put your phone away at Dad's funeral. You pressured Lindsay to kick me out with 2 days' notice. You've been paying below market rent for 2 years and never once thanked Dad for the favor. Below market? I researched comparable spaces. You're paying $28,000. Market rate is $45,000. His face went white. Stuart was subsidizing my rent? $200,000 a year. And you repaid that kindness by treating his daughter like garbage. Chandler turned to Lindsay. Did you know about this? Of course I didn't know. She stood up, the letter falling again. Anna, you can't destroy Chandler's business because you're mad at me. Watch me. This is insane. You're destroying our family over what? Hurt feelings. I'm not destroying anything. I'm running a business. Dad's business. The way he would have wanted. Dad would have wanted us to work together. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you threw me out of my home. Chandler was pacing now, running his hands through his hair. Anna, please, be reasonable. I have employees depending on me. Families with kids. You have 60 days to figure it out. That's not enough time. It was enough time for me to pack up 3 years of my life. Lindsay picked up the letter again, tearing it open with shaking hands. She read silently, her face crumbling with each line. What does it say? Chandler asked. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. He knew. He knew exactly what kind of person I am. Lindsay. He wrote this 6 months ago. He says he's disappointed in me, that he hoped I'd grow up and learn to appreciate what really matters. She wiped her eyes, smearing mascara. He says Anna is the daughter he's proud of. The room fell silent, except for the sound of construction noise from the kitchen renovation. Anna, Chandler said quietly. What do you want? Money? I can pay higher rent whatever the market rate is. I don't want your money. Then what? I looked around the destroyed kitchen, at Lindsay sobbing over Dad's final disappointment, at Chandler's desperate face. I want you both to understand what it feels like to lose everything. I walked toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and Lindsay, you might want to slow down on those renovations. That $50,000 you're spending, you're going to need it. I left them there in the wreckage of their kitchen and their assumptions. Dad's letter crumpled in Lindsay's fist like a final judgment. 2 weeks later, I watched from my office window as a moving truck pulled up to the Meridian complex. Davidson Tech was finally packing up. The other tenants are asking questions, Christian said, setting a stack of lease renewals on my desk. Word's getting around about the eviction. What kind of questions? Whether they're safe, whether you're planning to clean house. My phone buzzed with notifications. Social media alerts I'd set up to monitor Lindsay's accounts. She'd been posting regularly about the family crisis and her heartless sister. The latest post showed her at some charity luncheon. Even in difficult times, we must support our community. Some people choose revenge, but I choose love. A family first. Stay strong. The comments were brutal. Half the people supported her, calling me greedy and vindictive. The other half had clearly done their research and were calling her out for abandoning Dad. Anna? Alea's voice came from the doorway. We need to talk. She looked serious. I nodded to Christian, who gathered his papers and left. What's wrong? You are. Alea sat down across from me. I just spent an hour on the phone with my mom, who heard from her book club that you're some kind of evil property mogul destroying local businesses. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, you're starting to look like the villain in this story. I'm not the villain. Lindsay kicked me out of my own home, and now you're destroying her husband's business. Anna, Chandler's laying off 15 people today. 15 families losing their income because you're mad at your sister. The words hit like a slap. That's not my fault. Isn't it? You could have worked something out, raised his rent, extended the lease, something. Instead, you chose the nuclear option. He chose the nuclear option when he pressured Lindsay to evict me. Anna, listen to yourself. You sound like... She paused. Like what? Like someone I don't recognize. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Unknown number. Anna, this is Marcus from Davidson Tech. I worked for Chandler. I'm sorry, but I can't discuss. Please, just listen. I have 3 kids. My wife's pregnant with our 4th. I've been with the company for 5 years, and now I'm out of a job because of some family feud I don't understand. My stomach twisted. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. Are you? Because it doesn't feel like you're sorry. It feels like you don't care who gets hurt as long as you get revenge. He hung up before I could respond. Aaliyah was watching me carefully. How many more calls like that are you going to get? I didn't start this. No, but you're sure as hell finishing it. She leaned forward. Anna, I've been your friend for 12 years. I watched you sacrifice everything for your dad, and I was proud of you. But this isn't justice. This is just cruelty. They were cruel to me first, and that makes it okay? My office door burst open. Lindsay stormed in, followed by a flustered-looking security guard. I'm sorry, Miss Anna. She said she was family. It's fine, Marcus. You can go. Lindsay looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes from yesterday's Instagram post. You have to stop this, she said without preamble. Stop what? Chandler's company is finished. He can't afford the new lease, and no bank will give him a loan to relocate. 20 years of building that business, gone. That sounds like a him problem. It's a me problem too. We're going to lose everything, Anna. The house, our savings, everything. Alea stood up. I should go. No, stay, Lindsay said. Maybe you can talk sense into her. Anna's destroying our entire family over hurt feelings. Hurt feelings? I stood up so fast my chair rolled backward. You think this is about hurt feelings? What else would you call it? I'd call it consequences. You spent 3 years ignoring Dad while I gave up my career to take care of him. You showed up late to his funeral, kicked me out of my home, and now you're surprised there's a price to pay? I never meant for things to go this far. What did you think would happen? That I'd just disappear quietly and let you live happily ever after in Dad's house? Lindsay collapsed into the chair Alea had vacated. I read his letter. Over and over. He was so disappointed in me. He should have been. I know that. Don't you think I know that? She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I was jealous, okay? You were always his favorite. The responsible one, the smart one. I felt like I could never measure up. So, you stopped trying? Yes, I stopped trying and I was horrible to you, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But Anna, please don't destroy my marriage over this. Alea cleared her throat. Anna, maybe what? Maybe I should forgive and forget? Maybe I should bail them out like I always do? Maybe you should remember who you used to be, Alea said quietly. The room fell silent. Through the window, I could see Davidson Tech employees carrying boxes to their cars. Some of them were crying. I used to be a doormat, I said finally. No, Alea said. You used to be kind. Lindsay wiped her eyes. Anna, what do you want from me? I'll do anything. Sell the house? Give you half the proceeds? Whatever it takes. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The designer clothes were wrinkled, the perfect makeup smeared. She looked broken. I want you to understand what you took from me. I do understand. I took your home, your security, your sense of family. I was selfish and cruel, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 years of my life. No, it doesn't, but destroying Chandler's business won't give them back either. I walked to the window, watching the last of the moving trucks pull away. Somewhere in the city, 15 families were wondering how they'd pay their mortgages next month. Get out, I said without turning around. Anna, get out of my office. Both of you. I heard them leave, heard the door close softly behind them. Alone in my father's office, surrounded by the empire he'd built and left to me, I wondered if this was what victory was supposed to feel like. It felt a lot like losing. The pounding on my apartment door started at 11 p.m. Anna! Open up! I know you're in there! Lindsay's voice was slurred, desperate. I'd been staying at Alea's for 3 weeks now, but somehow she'd tracked me down. Anna, please! We need to talk! I opened the door. Lindsay swayed on her feet, mascara streaked down her cheeks, clutching a bottle of wine. You're drunk. So what if I am? My life is falling apart thanks to you. She pushed past me into the apartment. Where's your friend? I want to talk to you alone. Alea's at her boyfriend's place. Lindsay, you can't be here. Why not? Because you're too good for me now? Because you're some big-shot property owner? She stumbled into the living room, nearly knocking over a lamp. Nice place. Cozy. Not like the mansion you stole from me. I didn't steal anything. Bullshit. She spun around, pointing the wine bottle at me like a weapon. You manipulated Dad when he was sick. You made him think I didn't care, so he'd give you everything. That's not what happened. Then what did happen, Anna? Because from where I'm standing, you played the perfect daughter while I was living my life, And now you're using his guilt to destroy my family. I was taking care of him while you were posting Instagram stories from wine tastings. One weekend! I went to Napa for one weekend and you act like I abandoned him. It wasn't one weekend, Lindsay. It was 3 years of weekends. 3 years of holidays, birthdays, doctor appointments. 3 years of watching him die while you lived your perfect life. She took a long drink from the bottle. I couldn't handle it, okay? Seeing him like that, so weak and sick, it broke my heart. So you broke mine instead. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. Over and over again. And when he died, you couldn't even wait a week before kicking me out. Lindsay sank onto the couch, the fight going out of her. Chandler filed for bankruptcy today. The words hung in the air between us. 20 years of building that company, gone. Our house is going into foreclosure. We're moving in with his parents next week. She laughed bitterly. His mother hates me. Says this is all my fault for having a vindictive sister. Maybe it is your fault. Maybe it is. She looked up at me with hollow eyes. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? I wanted you to understand what you took from me. Well, congratulations. I understand. I understand that I'm a terrible person who destroyed her own family through selfishness and greed. I understand that I lost the only sister I have because I was too proud to admit I was wrong. She wiped her nose with the back of her hand. I understand that Dad died disappointed in me, and now I'll never get the chance to make it right. She pulled something from her purse, a crumpled piece of paper. Dad's letter. Do you want to know what he wrote? Really want to know? I didn't answer, but she continued anyway. He said he hoped I'd learn to be more like you, that he wished he'd raised me to understand the value of sacrifice and loyalty. He said he was leaving you the business because you'd earned it, but he hoped someday I'd earn your forgiveness. She smoothed out the letter with shaking hands. He also said he loved me. Despite everything, he loved me and believed I could be better. Her voice cracked. But I can't be better, Anna. I tried, but I'm just broken. Lindsay, no, let me finish. I came here to beg you to save Chandler's company, to offer you anything, the house, my jewelry, whatever you want. But sitting here, looking at you, I realize I don't have anything you want. She stood up unsteadily. You want me to suffer, and I am suffering. You want me to lose everything, and I'm losing everything. You want me to understand what I took from you, and I do. Then why don't I feel better? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Lindsay stared at me. What? I have everything I thought I wanted. The business, the money, the power to make you pay for what you did. So why do I feel so empty? Because revenge doesn't fix anything. It just breaks more things. We stood there in Alea's living room, two sisters who'd destroyed each other in the name of justice and pride. I can't undo what I did to you, Lindsay said quietly. But you can still undo what you're doing to me. Why should I? Because Dad's letter had a PS. He said if I ever found the courage to truly apologize to you, to tell you that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing love over anger. She set the wine bottle on the coffee table and walked toward the door. Lindsay, wait. She turned back, hope flickering in her eyes. I need time to think. The hope died. How much time? I don't know. She nodded, understanding. For what it's worth, Anna, I'm proud of you. You became everything Dad hoped you'd be. Everything I should have been. After she left, I sat alone in the dark apartment, holding Dad's letter. At the bottom, in his careful handwriting, was the postscript Lindsay had mentioned. But there was more. Another line she hadn't read aloud. Anna, you have the power to heal this family or destroy it completely. Choose wisely. Love, Dad. I folded the letter and reached for my phone. Beatrice answered on the second ring. Anna? It's quite late. I need you to draft some documents. Tonight. What kind of documents? I looked out the window at the city lights, thinking about 15 families without jobs, about Lindsay crying in her empty house, about Dad's final wish for his daughters. A new lease agreement for Davidson Tech, market rate, but with a payment plan. And Beatrice? Yes? Make it retroactive. Chandler can have his company back. The call came at 6 a.m. Anna, what the hell did you do? Chandler's voice was shaking. I was already dressed, sitting in my car outside the Meridian complex, with a box of Dad's personal items from the office. I gave you your company back. The lease agreement, it's real? This isn't some kind of joke? It's real. Market rate, payment plan for the back rent. Your employees can come back to work Monday. Silence. Then, why? Because 15 families didn't deserve to suffer for our family drama. Anna, thank you. I don't know how to. Don't thank me yet. We need to talk. All of us. Today. Lindsay's still asleep. She cried herself sick last night after she got home from your place. Wake her up. 1 hour, my office. I hung up and walked into the building. The security guard nodded respectfully. Morning, Ms. Anna. You're here early. Big day, Marcus. In Dad's office, I arranged 3 chairs around the desk and waited. They arrived exactly on time. Lindsay looking fragile in yesterday's clothes. Chandler nervous, but hopeful. Sit down. They sat like children, called to the principal's office. Chandler, your company is saved. Your employees get their jobs back. The lease is reinstated with a payment plan for what you owe. His shoulders sagged with relief. Anna, I can't tell you what this means. I'm not finished. I opened the box on my desk, pulling out Dad's business journals. These are Dad's notes from the past 5 years. Every business decision, every tenant interaction, every family conversation he thought was important. I opened one to a bookmarked page. December 15th, 3 years ago. Gave Chandler below-market lease as wedding gift. Hope he appreciates family discount. Chandler's face reddened. March 8th, 2 years ago. Anna missed another job interview to take me to chemo. Lindsay posted photos from Miami vacation same day. Lindsay flinched. June 20th last year. Chandler complained about office temperature at Sunday dinner. Didn't ask about my health once. Anna looked exhausted. I closed the journal. He documented everything. Every kindness ignored, every sacrifice unnoticed, every time you both chose convenience over family. Anna, Lindsay started. I'm still not finished. I pulled out another document. This is Dad's original will, the one he wrote 5 years ago. I slid it across the desk. Lindsay picked it up with trembling hands. Everything split evenly. House, business, investments, 50-50. But that's not what happened, Chandler said. No, because Dad kept a record of every time you disappointed him, and every time I showed up. He changed his will piece by piece, transfer by transfer, until I'd earned what I inherited. Lindsay was crying again, but quietly this time. He gave you chances to prove you cared, and you didn't take them. So what happens now? Chandler asked. I stood up, walking to the window. Now you both have a choice. Chandler, you can run your business the way Dad would have wanted, with integrity, treating people fairly, remembering that success comes with responsibility. And if I don't? Then you'll find out how quickly a lease can be terminated for cause. He nodded, understanding. Lindsay, you can keep the house, but you're going to earn it. What do you mean? Dad's medical equipment is still in storage. I'm donating it to the hospice where he spent his last week. You're going to volunteer there. Every weekend. For a year. Anna, I can't. You can't handle seeing sick people. Then you'll learn. just like I had to learn. And if I refuse? Then the house goes on the market, and you can explain to Chandler's parents why you're staying with them permanently. She wiped her eyes. A year? A year. And Lindsay? No social media posts about your charity work. This isn't for your image, it's for your soul. Chandler reached for his wife's hand. We'll do it. Whatever you want. I don't want your compliance. I want your understanding. I turned back to them. Dad left us all something in those journals. Chandler, he wrote that you had potential to be a good man if you learned to see beyond yourself. Lindsay, he said you had a kind heart buried under all the selfishness. What did he say about you? Lindsay asked. I smiled sadly. That I was strong enough to carry the family's pain, but he worried I'd forget how to let it go. I walked back to the desk, pulling out one final document. This is a partnership agreement, equal shares in Snyder Properties, all three of us. They stared at me in shock. But Anna, Chandler said, you earned this. You sacrificed. I sacrificed for Dad, not for revenge, and Dad's final wish was for his family to heal. I picked up his last letter, reading the postscript again. He believed we could choose love over anger. Lindsay stood up slowly. You're giving us another chance. I'm giving us all another chance. But this is it, the only one. Mess this up, and you'll discover I can be just as ruthless as Dad when it comes to protecting what matters. What matters? Chandler asked. Family. Real family. The kind that shows up, pays attention, and puts each other first. Lindsay walked around the desk and hugged me. For the first time in years, it felt genuine. I won't let you down again, she whispered. Yes, you will. We all will. But maybe next time, we'll catch each other when we fall. I looked out at the city Dad had built his empire in, thinking about second chances and the price of forgiveness. Revenge had been satisfying for exactly as long as it took to realize it couldn't fill the hole that grief had carved in my heart. But this felt like something Dad would be proud of. So, I said, turning back to my partners, my family, let's get to work.